Hello and welcome to the Shock Arrow skill overview. So, Shock Arrow is a rapid projectile that deals roughly like 40 to 50 damage depending on your air magic. Deals lightning damage, gain 5 energy, plus 1 energy for every 2 ranks of energy storage if you hit a foe suffering from cracked armor. It penetrates 25% of armor. So, or not 25%, but it actually does that. It penetrates 25% of their armor value, so it increases its base damage. That's like what that means. So, costs 5 energy, has a 1 second casting time, and it has an 8-second cooldown. So, this is an air magic spell that's great for managing your energy. It's also good in like a starburst build with lightning touch. You actually don't even need attunements. I'm just running it just because I have Bed of Coals and Inferno in the same build. So I'm using Fire Attunement for energy management, but I usually use Dark Escape on this build for tanking. So this is really good with any air magic spell that applies cracked armor. This spell actually used to be drastically different. There was never, well, let me rephrase that. Every spell, every like elemental attribute has a spell that can be spammed. So in the case of Earth Magic, it's Stone Dagger. It has no cooldown. You can just keep spamming it. In the case of Fire Magic, it's Flare. And then in the case of Water Magic, I actually don't have it unlocked because it's a new account, and I don't use Water Magic. It is Ice Spear. Air Magic used to have one, and that was Shock Arrow, except it had a 1 second cooldown. So for the longest time, this spell was actually the spammable air magic spell. So like every element had its no cooldown, or in this case 1 second cooldown spell. I'm guessing they felt it was too overpowered in PvP probably because a 50 damage armor penetration, 25% armor penetration spell is quite strong, especially if it has no cooldown. So if a 40-40 triggers, you're just sending these things at people like all the time. So that's probably why they moved it to an energy management thing that triggers on cracked armor. It is really good, though, for energy management. It's perfect in a Starburst build, even without an attunement. So, like, if you're in a heavy enchant hate like setting, Shock Arrow is good with Starburst and Lightning Touch, or just with any general cracked armor build. Or if your team has cracked armor, it's good in that situation. Obviously, Glowing Gaze is good as well. This is my factions only bar, so this is the only energy management skill that I have, out of like the 4, like you have Glowstone, Glowing Ice, Glowing Gaze, and Shock Arrow. Those are your 4 5 energy, like 8 second cooldown elemental spells that proc off of some kind of condition that give you energy back. So in this case, it does like fit perfectly well with Lightning Touch, which is very good. So I can put cracked armor and blind. I can cycle through my rotation and then hit a foe with a condition for energy. In that case, he must have just lost it. But yeah, so I can hit him like this, get energy if I need it. I don't usually need it though. Like I have a BIP, so it's really questionable if I even need it at this point. But it's still useful to have. Like if you run into some kind of group that has like some crazy enchant hate, it's still pretty strong. I would say the fact that BIPs exist now greatly reduces. I mean, they've always existed, but it's definitely in the meta, and most people run a BIP hero, so the fact that BIPs are very common now, you don't really need skills like this anymore. You only really need them if you have like heavy like enchantment, hate, and energy drain for whatever reason, which can happen in like some like areas in the game. So that's just like one of the main uses for it. It's great in PvP because in PvP there's a lot of like energy drain and energy hiding, and running enchantments in PvP generally isn't the smartest thing to do because they get like torn down all the time, and like most builds run like some kind of enchantment hate, at least as far as like Mesmer and Necro builds. But so yeah, that's Shock Arrow. I just got a Serpent Axe. I don't know what that is. What is a Serpent Axe? Cool. Let's see if it's as good. I keep getting 15 into stats. It's like, it's not bad, but this probably has, I don't know. We'll see. So, yeah, thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you in the next one.